Hello and welcome to the MJ Take, here to review the Suicide Squad 2021, a sequel. It's a sequel, right? To the 2016 Suicide Squad, one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire damn life, people. I mean, that movie was bad. But I'm here to report a market improvement here in the Suicide Squad. People, I really enjoyed this movie. And this was a James Gunn movie. They gave him complete creative freedom to do whatever the hell he wanted. And man, did he do whatever the hell he wanted. There were some things in this movie where I was like, okay, damn. I was expecting gore, I was expecting violence, I was expecting crude humor, and man, he even went even farther than I thought. But I loved it, and we're going to discuss it here. So let's get into my MJ takes. And by the way, this is a both non-spoiler and spoiler review. The first half, non-spoilers. The second half, spoilers. So if you want spoiler discussion, go to the second half of this video. So my MJ takes for the Suicide Squad. Let's start with the good. This was extremely stylish, extremely creative, and bold. This was, again, so James Gunn. You could see his style all over this film. You could see the choices that he was making. He had complete creative control to take this story, to take these characters exactly where he wanted them to go. He was able to craft this story, along with his fellow writers, exactly to his vision. It was his vision throughout. And it was colorful, it was fun to watch, it was just nice being in the theater, just sitting there and even looking at it. Visually, it was stunning and artistic and just enthralling right from the beginning of the movie, completely different from the original version, which, wow, the visual was actually pretty good. I think it even might have got nominated for an Oscar, maybe even won it. Was, very dreary, very dark. And then let's not even get started with the story and dialogue, because we're going to have a discussion for 20 minutes about how awful that is alone. So extremely James Gunn, stylish, bold, creative, absolutely loved it. When we look at more than that, man, this was well acted. I love this absolute cast, and we're going to discuss character by character in my spoiler review, my thoughts on each character and how, they performed in the movie, what they did in the movie, and my thoughts on the story overall. But, Idris Elba absolutely kills it. Why people don't want this man as a James Bond? And this is not a James Bond type role, but this was a leading role in a big blockbuster film. Come on, people. It's written all over the stars. This guy just does not get the credit he deserves. Of all the characters in DC that he finally gets to play, they give him Bloodsport, who I had never heard of. Okay? It's a shame, but he absolutely killed it. And I would even go as far as say, because Will Smith was one of the few bright spots in that original Suicide Squad movie, I think he might have even upped him a little bit, but he had better material. Okay, he had better material. And I would love to see, if Bloodsport survived, I'm not going to spoil that, a Will Smith, as Deadshot, and Idris Elba as Bloodsport Suicide Squad. And I know they have very similar characteristics and powers and traits and whatnot. They can play off of that. They can have fun with that and have fun battling for the leadership role. I think it'd be a good bit throughout the movie. So Idris Elba did a fantastic job. Margot Robbie did well. I have some problems with her as Harley Quinn, but I think Harley Quinn is just such a difficult character to play. Tara Strong voices her so beautifully. So competing with that is just incredible to have that sort of personality on screen. It's difficult. I just have problems at times where she misfires me a little bit to what I really believe Harley Quinn's true nature is at times. She is crazy and she can be ditzy, but how? And you definitely saw moments of real brilliance and intelligence here, but I think you could have seen more from Harley Quinn here than that, and she's not that funny, and I think that's a writing issue. That's not a Margot Robbie issue. But Harley Quinn's legitimately funny, and I don't think she said one thing in here that was intentionally funny on her part that was actually funny, not even subtly. So, that's just one problem that I have. That's, I guess, more so of a writing or of a Harley Quinn character than Margot Robbie herself. John Cena's Peacemaker. So I heard great things about his performance. For the first hour, I didn't really see it. I was like, okay, he's fine. He's a little funny, but what's so great? By the third act, I saw it. He was fantastic in the third act. And there were some things that went on with him in the third act. And I probably shouldn't say which characters to make it to the third act. I realize I probably shouldn't say that. But yeah, John Cena really impressed me in the third act of this movie. Everyone else, supporting cast, I mean, everyone did well. No one overacted. No one did too much. Even the actor that played Thinker, he was supposed to be eccentric. He was. So this was well acted throughout. Absolutely one of my MJ takes of this movie. What else? Well, let's get to the bad, actually. So we have a bland villain, Starro, who is a creature who doesn't, he can't add much in terms of dialogue there. Let's just say that. It's a faceless villain. And then Thinker is in this movie. It was in the trailer. Thinker is in this movie, bland. There's also some other villains. No one really cares. It's just like whatever. And this is a common trope when it comes to these comic book movies, these superhero movies. So it wasn't a shock to me. But it is a criticism. Whenever I see it, I have to call it out. I do also have to say, though, is it too extreme for mainstream audiences? This is not a concern for me, but when you're trying to make a movie that you're trying to market to the general audience, you're trying to make as much money as possible, it is an issue. It is quite gory, okay? It's not too bad, but it is quite gory. Sexual moments, nothing too bad, but sexual in moments. But, okay, some of the humor here, okay, it's crude. It is pretty damn crude. And I'm fine talking about dicks and balls and assholes and whatnot. But it even got a little rapey. And I was like, okay. And there was one rapey joke where I'm like, okay, yeah. If I was in the writer's room, I would have been okay with that. It's not so offensive to where I would have stormed out or where I wanted to storm out of this movie, or even to the point where it took 1 decimal point off of this movie for me. And I'm not even offended. Offended is harsh. I'm not going to say I'm offended. I'm just saying it went a little too far with this one joke. So I guess maybe some of y'all would call that offended. But, it went a little far. And, sometimes it can be a little immature. And there's going to be a lot of females and a lot of, older audiences that are not going to enjoy this type of humor. It's very young boy, young adultish humor. And that's what it is. And a lot of you older men or young boys are hard if you're honest with yourself. And which is fine. I know I will always be. So that's fine. But you have to admit it was a little mature at times. But I enjoyed it. But it was definitely there. So overall, though, the Suicide Squad, the action was there. I didn't even discuss the action sequences, but I enjoyed the action sequences. And you can even say in the third act, because, with these comic book films, they're so predictable. But adding in the little nuance of you don't know what's going to happen with these characters. Any of them can die. Don't get too attached. It's one of the taglines for this movie. It added some unpredictability, and there is one sequence in the third act here where I didn't know what was going to happen, and I was invested. And I rarely say that. Black Widow, I was not invested. I thought maybe her family could die. I didn't really care or think it, I didn't care. There was a moment where I was concerned, and then maybe characters die. I'm just going to say that characters die. And that will pull at your heartstrings a little bit, and I can't say that for a lot of comic book derived films. My MJ score for this movie, 8.6 out of 10. Must watch for anyone that is interested in the material. And that would go even beyond comic book material. I'd say even if you're interested in comedies, into crude humor, anything like that, action, I would look into it. I absolutely would. If you're into rom-coms, if you're into really Hollywood dramatic pieces, this may not be for you. But I enjoyed it. So with that said, let's get into our spoiler discussion for the Suicide Squad. And let us begin with my boy, Bloodsport. People. Idris Elba. Can this man just get the credit that he deserves? He is an absolute beast. And again, I want to see Bloodsport and Deadshot in a damn movie. I want to see him going one-on-one a little bit, batting a little bit, teaming up at the end and getting the job done. Now, it sucks because they are a little derivative from one another. Yes, they both have a daughter. Yes, they both are great shots. Yes, they can change Deadshot's look a little bit. Change, maybe give him another ability or something to make it different. But I think it'd be a great bloody dynamic, and I'd love to see it. And considering the fact that Rick Flag is now gone, we could use another alpha male in this group. And he wasn't much of an alpha male, but we could use another alpha male in this group. So I would love to see Will Smith come back. I don't know if he will, but I'd love to see him come back. But Idris Elba absolutely killed it. Again, for me, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. She did well, and she did show her intelligence and how she broke out. I'm not disputing that. I'm not discarding that either. It's just at times, for instance, let's say the way she really, okay, I love the way she actually killed the president. I can't even remember the name of this fictional country, but is it even fiction? It should be, hopefully. I did like the way she did that, but with her joking in the end about Milton, I mean, she's not that dumb. And it was funny, but it wasn't that funny to where it's like her intentionally being funny. It was just her just being ditzy. And I don't know, just moments like that where I think Harley Quinn's a little more intelligent than that, just a little bit. And she doesn't crack really funny jokes. She would at least try, at least in the Batman animated series, try and successfully crack jokes on her own. And there was a little bit a moment of that whenever they were, I guess, telling Thinker the plan, and she was doing that. Those weren't really that funny to me. If you have personalized license plates, you die. That's not that funny. She could do better than that. So, and I think that's a writing thing. So I won't blame Margot Robbie too much for that. But yeah, it's just a writing thing. We've already seen her now, 1, 2, 3 times as Harley Quinn. It's a lot. So for me to not be in love with her character at this point is a little concerning. And I did like that she killed the guy, the president, the former president, or now former, but president at the time. But does she really have to always tie her whatever to the Joker? Does she have to reference the Joker or whatever in every single movie she's in? I mean, at this point, this deep into the lore here, she's pretty detached from the Joker. They haven't been together for 3 movies. Who cares? Until they're together again, let's not mention him. Let's not do that at all. If she would have just killed him and said abruptly, yeah, that was the red flag, and I don't do red flags anymore, cool. But then we had to have a little dramatic bit about her reminiscing about the Joker. And we didn't need that to me. We get it. Especially because we don't like that Joker anymore anyway. And we never even did. So I'm done with it. So anyway, Peacemaker. John Cena's Peacemaker. Again, so when the film started, first 20 minutes, there was a lot of jokes I'd already seen in the trailer, so I didn't really care and find them that funny anymore. I've already seen the trailer 4, 5, 6, 10 times at this point. But then, by the third act, and him being dramatic, and him ultimately killing Rick Flag and making you hate him, I'm like, okay, now we're talking. And I've never seen John Cena actually look intimidating in a film. I've never seen that. He looked intimidating here. He made you hate him here. My only concern is, how the hell are you going to make a TV show around someone that everyone actually hates? You can make a TV show around people that, someone that people don't like, even around a villain. We love watching the Joker movie. Great. But someone that we hate? This is one of the most hateable villains, I've ever seen. We're going to watch a TV show centered around him saving the world? So they better have someone opposite of him that we're interested in. And I don't think it's going to be Idris Elba's Bloodsport. So it's going to have to be someone, otherwise I'm going to watch, but I don't know who's going to watch because people hate this guy. And it's going to be hard to watch the whole show centered around him. You can throw him in here and there in the next Suicide Squad movie. If they have one, they absolutely should. And that's great. But I don't know who's going to watch a whole TV show centered around that. I don't know about that. But we're going to see about that. But he did a fantastic job making you hate him. Ratcatcher, look, I like the emotional beats, the dramatic moments that she had. I didn't end up caring too much, to be honest. Polka Dot Man, okay. I did like Polka Dot Man. I liked his gimmick. I like his bit about his mom and it being very funny. A bit that paid off at the end. And I actually liked his death. While I felt for him, I was like, yeah, let's get one more death in of a character that we care about. And that was good. I thought that was a little extra twist. Just to make you, again, understand that anyone in this movie can die. We just lost Rick Flag. And although we liked Rick Flag, we didn't love Rick Flag. We liked him a hell of a lot better than the first Suicide Squad. We didn't love him yet. So killing him here, killing Polka Dot Man here was like an extra little twist. Yeah, this is a Suicide Squad movie. People you like are gonna die. And we actually liked Polka Dot Man at that point a lot. This was more than Milton. This was more than Rick Flag. It was an extra little twist. All right. Amanda Waller. Now, she got punked at the end, which is unfortunate. I felt a little mixed about the end sequence of her not wanting them to do anything to Starro or not wanting to save the day. But it makes sense. She wants to protect her assets. But I felt like it would have been more effective if she would have just said, okay, fine, instead of actually wanting to kill them for wanting to kill Starro and save the day. That didn't make much sense. Because if she's really mad, like if she was mad because she wants to protect her assets, she doesn't want them to die, cool. But she's the one that wants to kill them just because they want to go save that. That didn't make much sense. Not in that context. So I didn't like that creative choice. That's one of the creative choice problems that I had with this movie. Outside of that, we also had Starro. It was disgusting, but I didn't mind as much as some people. The armpit kind of looked like a female opening. We'll keep it kind of PG over here. But it wasn't too disgusting to me. The initial slaughters I loved. Some people didn't like them, especially the freedom fighter slaughter. Oh, I loved it. And my dumbass didn't even know it was happening at the time. I actually thought it was the enemy, my dumbass. And looking back, it's really, really morbid that they were killing innocent people. It's pretty funny to me. I mean, I'm sorry. And the way they did it and the way Peacemaker and Bloodsport were going off of each other, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a beautiful twist. And again, going against the traditional comic book movie format. A twist that you don't see. I've not seen this in a movie in a while. This type of, bait and switch. I thought it was well done. I thought it was fantastic. And I would have loved to see a little more Pete Davidson and Michael Rooker, but getting rid of them early again shows the stakes and Weasel's alive. So that's good. So let's just go ahead and and the one controversial joke that got me, and again, I'm not offended. I'm not someone that gets offended, but whenever the star zombies, let's call them corpses, and they were just doing their chants or whatever the hell they were doing, and then the female ones were like, oh, and he's had his way with me, and then Thinker's like, okay, little messed up, little too far, we didn't have to go there. Joking about the raping in that context, pulling off in any context is difficult. That context, yeah, a little too far. Not enough for me to ruin the movie, but not enough to ruin the movie for me, but a little too far. I will definitely say that. The future, definitely to have a sequel to this, 100%. And I would let us see Will Smith thrown in here. There's other Suicide Squad letters you can throw in here, but I think James Gunn has something here now. He needs to be back for the sequel. I mean, and make it bigger. Suicide Squad versus somebody. You can't do versus Justice League because, that's a damn disaster over there right now. But versus like an Injustice League, that would be very interesting. That would be and I think you could pull it off and pull it off well. So to me, hey, call Deathstroke. Joe Manganiello needs something to do. Call him, get the little Injustice League together, and let's raise some hell. I'd be here for it. And I think it's very interesting. I think they have something really building here. I was really here for it, and I really enjoy the Suicide Squad. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on Suicide Squad 2021. What were your thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. This has been MJ, and I'm out. See you all later.